Hello and welcome to Car Design Review's Production Car of the Year award with me, James McLaughlin, editor of Car Design News. Now, with this edgy exterior, which draws on the brand's history, and thoughtful interior, this year's winner swept all before it, winning plaudits from an expert panel of judges. I am, of course, talking about Hyundai's Ioniq 5. And joining me to receive the award and discuss the project is VP of Design at Hyundai, Sang-Yup Lee, who it's fair to say was pretty chuffed to claim the Production Car of the Year crown. Welcome Sang-Yup, and hearty congratulations from the Car Design Review, Car Design News team even, for the Ioniq 5 scooping the Production Car of the Year. I have to say, without giving too much away, because I know the book is winging it out to everyone who's contributed and subscribed and bought one, it was a clear winner. I have to say, it was.
Thank you so much.
It really caught a nerve. I suppose the obvious question, it's been quite a year. Have you been surprised by the reception the car has got?
When you actually develop the car completely new and innovative, there's always obviously confidence is built into it, but at the same time, market how the market's gonna adapt to this type of new typology of the vehicle, we always actually kind of worries, but actually at the same time, it's actually great worries as a designer. And obviously, it's amazing, and thanks to the Car Design News to give us such an honorable award on the Ioniq 5, because this is always one of my dream, one of our design team's dream to receive this very prestigious award. Obviously, it's because it's voted by the car designers globally. So this means a lot for us, and I'm very, very happy. And the whole team, the Hyundai design team, they are very excited. And thank you so much for this.
No, we're a worthy winner, I think, was the general feeling in the office. I wondered, actually, referring to the team there slightly, obviously it's unusual circumstances, unprecedented circumstances that we've been experiencing over the last 18 months. I know, South Korea's handled the pandemic better than most, but were there certain things that you had to do, change your approach and way of working in the stages, the final stages of the project, and did the design sort of be impacted by that?
Oh yeah, it's actually the good. It's a big impact on design process, obviously. And then South Korea, relatively we manage okay in terms of the production programs, but at the same time, we're heavily relying on our global studio, such as Europe and America. But as you know, Europe and America, we got locked down for quite a bit of time. So it was definitely the challenge. Obviously, this is why we had to think differently in terms of developing the production cars, completely digitally oriented process. We really push hard, and so everything, the design review instead of clay model review, though we are doing a lot of design review by BR and a global conference as well. So in a way, how we used to operate a design studio is always about competition basis, where that European studio do A proposal, American studio B, and Korean studio C. We're able to choose one. This doesn't work anymore in pandemic situations. So we're actually, in a way, we are always talking very close together. So in Korea that we work, and at the end of the day, we pass our work digitally to Europe, and Europe take it and continuously develop it for all day. And at the end of the day in Europe, they pass to America, and America doing the same way. So right. It was actually, in a way, the studios was running 24/7. Which is obviously fantastic. So it was only happened by the complete digital process we've been pushing for last 5 years. I think it worked out quite good. A lot of production programs, that timing is very, very critical. We didn't miss single deadline because due to our advanced design digital process.
That's not missing a single deadline. Is kind of quite incredible, I'd say. And sort of moving in contrast to that very, very sort of innovative, sort of cutting edge design process where you were designing sort of across the world. Um, uh, it's an interesting sort of contrast to draw, because some of the influences hark back to the Pony, which is obviously a very, very important vehicle, not just for Hyundai, but for actually for South Korea itself.
Right. Actually, it is quite interesting because the EV era gave us a complete blank page how to do the design for the future, because packagings are different, and so we have to really start thinking from the beginning. When you start thinking from the beginning, you always need to ask yourself who you are, and that will define what we have to do and what we have to develop it further. So we have to look back. Back in the days, our first production car, the Pony, it was actually done by Giugiaro, and it was actually early 70s. A very emotional vehicle, monocoque body style, one of the first car, 1 year after Volkswagen Golf 1. But it has a lot more emotional touch to it. So that's something is actually quite aesthetically, it's actually that you don't see this type of vehicle in the market right now. But not only the aesthetically, but also the as an EV, that we really question to ourselves, okay, that we, instead of actually taking all the left over from what ICE, should we actually take it to next level, or actually should we actually do something else? For example, like ICE grills, it's not really relevant. And should we really carry on our cascading grill? Maybe not. So this is why every details we question to ourselves, what is the best for the Hyundai brand in EV era? Obviously, what EVs can do versus what IC can is actually the a flat floor, the bigger interior space. So we absolutely want to maximize the biggest, largest interior space with a living space concept we built into it. This is why they happen to be the monocoque body is the actually the since we don't have to deal with a big shoulder, the interior space is a lot bigger, wider than a traditional big shoulder car. So I think that monocoque body happened to work really good, and it really relies on our the first production car, Pony. And basically, we get the inspiration. We actually, not in the retro way, but in a very contemporary way. So if you see all the details, it has actually the overall silhouette is similar to Pony, but if you take a look at in details, surface treatment, the proportion is a totally new and innovative product, I must say.
That's interesting. You mentioned sort of not in a retro way, because I think it has been seen in some ways as a kind of retro-looking car. But you would point to that not being, on closer inspection, not really being the case.
No, not at all. And I wouldn't call the Ioniq 5 is a retro car. It's inspired from Pony, but just a little bit of aesthetic, but more of the we take that car as the inspiration of a challenging character of the brand when it first started. So that challenging spirit, we want to carry it on. That is the most important. And this is why that you look at every single part of the car, there's nothing retro about it.
Mm, mm. You mentioned internal space there, saying up, and I wondered sort of how much that is going to play a part in sort of consumer decisions and design decisions. The idea of internal space and sort of maximizing that and experimenting and playing with sort of multi-forms within the interior of the car, as opposed to external styling.
It's all about the creating value for customer in EV era. So we really study obviously that skateboard platform is going to be quite popular in the future. Obviously, you start to see more and more right now. So what really skateboard platform can provide to create a value for customer? And obviously, one very strong point is the space. So this is why Ioniq 5, that even though overall length is about the same as our mid-size Tucson CUV, but interior space itself is actually larger than, especially the wheelbase is larger than our mid-large size Palisade SUV. So this is one of the very strong point, and I mean, simply the 3-meter wheelbase, that is actually something else, definitely. So with having this, we really want to create an absolute, the maximum space as much as possible. And on the top of it, big space is great, but what you gonna actually fill in, what story you want to fill into the story, into the interior is so equally as important. So as you know, the car becoming more the digital device with EV, with all the technology built in inside, so it's becoming more and more living space than a traditional driving space. So when you have a living space, you really want to have customers feel like to stay in the car, do a lot of activities, do a lot of different things. In Korea, it's quite funny. A lot of Ioniq 5 driver, they use Ioniq 5 back seat as their office. Yeah, so so I think this is one of those things, and we almost imagine ourselves, um, even in Seoul, the percentage of street in Seoul is about 14% of the whole city. So the streets is actually the moving space for car, but we're actually taking that as the uh, living, the staying space. So we want to create the most value out of the space that we created.
I mean, it makes total sense, and I think this kind of question over cars being these things that they were just a form of transport. I mean, all that seems up for grabs now, particularly where we see the sort of the rise in the possibilities determined by autonomous driving. I mean, you can literally rewrite the rule book.
Exactly. I don't. Automotive business is actually that there's no borderline between automotive and the robot technology. So this is something that we actually keep looking into it, and our design. We have the robotic design team within our design center as well. So more and more how things are developing, the robot is becoming the car, and the car is becoming robots. So there is no borderline in near future for sure.
And one of the key moments that everyone is talking about at the moment is sustainability, and there are some sustainable materials in the design. There's recycled PET bottles, plant-based yarns in the seats, and I wondered how that the rise of this kind of more sort of eco-conscious consumer and material and the possibilities of materials might sort of redefine what we see as premium.
I think that is a very important point, because sustainability is actually is no longer optional, something that we have to deliver as a car manufacturer, because especially the younger generation, Gen Z, um, for them, that is a sustainability is a big part of their life is becoming already. So I think this is very important for car manufacturer to keep pushing and keep applying, because otherwise, I mean, all the pollution the car creates with all the materials and everything after 10 years, at all ended up car is becoming the big garbage. You cannot ruin the planet. So I think it's very important. But at the same time, how you actually put this story together, just like, I mean, using the PET bottle is actually the everybody's using it, but how and where and how much and what is really created the value, not only the sustainability itself, but also the how to give special value and touches and sense to the customer. That is very important. So I think this is some area that we're keep pushing it. And then, and Ioniq 5 is one of the first production car using quite a lot of amount of the sustainable materials. But I must say this is only the beginning for the Hyundai brand. We're actually extending this strategy more in a broader way.
You mentioned the future there, so that leaves me the door ajar for me to jump in and ask about Ioniq 6 or anything else that might be cooking. What can you share
I,
with us about that?
we already announced under the Ioniq brand, under Hyundai, obviously, we're going to have a three scalable eGMP platform-based car. i5 and 6 and 7 is coming. 6 is basically inspired from Prophecy concept car the last year, which is coming out next year. And then Ioniq 7 is more of the mid-large SUV is coming afterwards. So it's quite exciting. And we're going to have a consistent story between all the Ioniq lineups. Sustainable story is obviously the one. And also hygienes are very important after we're going through since we're going through a pandemic situation at the moment. And also, every Ioniq each cars will have a different story and design. Obviously, Ioniq 5 is inspired from the Pony, but in very contemporary way, monocoque body, maximizes space. Where the Ioniq 6, as you've seen the Prophecy, were inspired from the streamline era in 1930s, like
Fantastic.
a sub, and that actually the typology can be only achieved by the EV platform. So 7 will be the same thing. It's only can be done by EV, not by ICE, but each car will have its own story.
And what about your own story, Sang? This has been, as we mentioned at the start of the broadcast, it's been an incredible year, not just for Hyundai and Kia, for you personally. Is this the culmination of kind of a lot of ideas that you've had over the years, and they've all sort of come together at this moment?
I must say, I'm very lucky because I work with great designers and Hyundai design team. Every single one of the member, my boss, our CCO, Luke Donkerberg, and Hyundai styling head, Simon Losby, and also all the directors, we all motivated. We didn't never compromise. We only push for the best design and Hyundai to be the great design lead brand. So I think this is very, very important. Design is not always can be done by one person. It has to have a great team. They always a vision has to be in line. So it's a quite amazing year this year, but this is actually the starting point. And please stay tuned. We got more to come. And obviously, the Hyundai is the brand. Last few decades, it has been known as the value for money. And on the top of it, we want to add a lot of emotional value and a design value to have a Hyundai to be loved by our special customers.
Well, I think you've made an excellent start on that journey. I think that's probably about all we have time for, but that just leaves me to say congratulations to you, Sang-Ap, and your team. There's a host of names you mentioned there that are very familiar to our audience, but thank you so much, and congratulations for winning Car Design Review Production Car of the Year.
Thank you so much, and this means a lot because this is one of those awards I personally always wanted to have for a long time.
Well, we're happy to oblige.
So thank you so much. And this also means a lot for our design team. So I really want to share this with our passionate design dream team with this special award. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you.